Guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nora. If you are new and if you are not, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. 63 degrees today. First week of September, fully complete, baby. We are jumping into fall fashion trends. All right, I know, especially on TikTok, everybody's been tussling with me like, Nora, you are rushing through the seasons. You are making summer go away. Listen, y'all. I know summer technically doesn't end until the fall equinox on, I think, the 22nd. But like, I don't even know what the proper word is. Meteorologically, baby, the Weather Channel people are telling us that it's pretty much fall, okay? So we are going to discuss fall trends. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. These trend videos honestly are probably some of my favorite to film. So super excited. Let's jump right in. So y'all already know I have my handy dandy cell phone with all of the trends that we're gonna talk about here today, just so I kind of can stay on track of what we're discussing. There will be images here on screen as well. I try to make sure to always include like inspo pictures or just images so you can see kind of what I'm talking about. And I think overall we have 8 different trends. So I try as always not to overwhelm you all in these videos. Some of them are definitely trends I'm like excited about. Some of them I'm still kind of figuring out if I'm gonna jump on them. Some of them I'm probably honestly not going to spend that much money on or like try to invest in for my personal wardrobe, but of course still wanted to share. But I just find that these trend report type videos are a lot of fun. Again, if you are someone who does need a little bit more help and needs a little bit more guidance and inspo on things to wear for the upcoming season, I feel like these videos are great. And then of course, I also think it's kind of nice just to see what's trending for the season, because essentially that really just means it's gonna be readily available. So if you are interested in shopping any of these trends or styles, you're probably going to have a much easier time finding them in stores and online. So kicking things off, our first trend, and kind of like I already said, not groundbreaking, but it is going to be fur. And y'all know, again, if you follow me on social media, on all of like my platforms, I love a good fur. And I feel like what I've been seeing more too going into the fall season this year has been more like floor length fur pieces, which I'm also really into. I don't own any like long fur coats. Most of the fur like jackets or outerwear items that I own are more cropped, more at the waist, but fur coats are definitely going to be huge. And again, specifically your longer ones. I think this is just given elegance, okay? It is given Cruella de Vil with just like a whole lot of sass, and I love it. Of course, this is probably going to be a trend more for folks that live in like the New England area, where we can get pretty cold in the fall. Granted, I'm not summoning, you know, super cold weather quite yet, but definitely we have some evenings where a fur jacket, honestly, you can get away with it pretty early in the season. And of course, I would say of all of the trends that we're gonna talk about today, this is probably like one of the main ones that will do really well towards the latter part of fall, going closer into the winter months. So our second fall fashion trend are going to be cinched waists and like cinched belts, and specifically stacking your belts as well. So it's kind of like 2-3 things in one category, but I felt like it made sense to put them all together. But starting out, I'd say let's talk a little bit about stacking belts. First place that I saw this was from Schiaparelli, and I loved it. Belts are not something that, sadly, I have to say I don't wear them often, one to begin with, but when I do, baby, I'm just wearing them usually around my waist, you know, looping them through my pants, and I'm wearing them around my waist. But the way that they styled them, where they had them, you know, at the waist, but then stacked like 3-4 more belts on top, I loved. And then of course, kind of how we mentioned cinching your waist as well. Of course, using belts is going to be really popular going into the fall season as well. Could definitely do it over a blazer, sweaters, dresses. I just feel like there are a lot of different ways that you can cinch in the waist and almost create like a different silhouette with your items in your closet. That's a really good way, I would say, to like shop your wardrobe and play with items so that you can get a lot of wears out of things without feeling like you're wearing it exactly the same way every single time. I feel like this trend of the cinched waist and the belts are going to be really, really fun for that. And of course, you can get really creative with the belts too. It doesn't just have to be like a standard traditional black, brown belt with just like a buckle. Again, like I mentioned, I've got kind of like that cord rope belt from COS, but then I've also seen like cowhide belts. I've seen studded belts. I've seen kind of like that really cool obi style belt that almost looks like it's like wrapped around like a kimono, if you will. I'm really excited about this trend, and this is actually one that I know for sure I'm probably going to explore quite a bit, just because I think it's fun. I have a lot of outerwear and like a lot of sweaters and dresses and knits and things that I wear in the fall, but I tend to just let them fall kind of naturally how they're meant to be on the body. I think it could be really fun to play with some cinching and accessorizing with some belts. So moving right along to our third fall fashion trend. I feel like I actually mentioned this briefly in my recent like what's in my cart Zara video, but that is going to be balloon / genie pants. I've kind of heard them referred to both ways, so figured we'd kind of title it the same here. Also very impressed, also very excited to kind of explore this trend. But the balloon genie pant, I'm into it. I'm really, really into it. I just love kind of that, again, balloon detail, the larger kind of like flare out that you almost get from the pants, and then of course they cinch in at the waist, creating kind of that genie effect, very Jasmine from Aladdin type of inspo and aesthetic. I'm into it. Like I mentioned in my Zara video, I did share a pair of like satin pants that they had in this really gorgeous gold color that I really, really loved. They also had a denim pair that I'm still really, really intrigued by. I haven't purchased it quite yet, but really, really interested in that one as well. I've seen a lot of other different ones as well from other high street brands and then some of the luxury brands as well. But I like this one. I think this is really fun. And for some reason, I feel like this is something that I probably could style for a while. Like depending on the materials, could definitely see adding like a boot to these and wearing them going into the winter seasons. And then of course, next year when spring and summer rolls back around with sandals, a ballet flat, a really strappy heel. Like I think this is something that if you find the right pair, you find the right materials, this is something that I think won't feel super trendy and just for the current season. Now, our next fall fashion trend are going to be flat sneakers, like a low profile flat sneaker. And I always chuckle because I feel like, again, every now and then we get these trends that come back and I'm like, you know, a lot of us probably had items in our wardrobe that we could have just kept and held on to because it was gonna come back. And definitely seeing the kind of resurgence of the flat, low profile sneaker was a trend that I was like, girl, you had these. I think they just did a drop from the brand, I think it was Puma actually, who came out with a pair of sneakers. I believe they're called their Speed Cats. I definitely had a pair of these. Like, I feel like I remember in middle school, high school, like these flat Pumas were all the rage. I feel like I had a pair, like a red one. I had some brown ones. Like I definitely remember having these already, and I just think it's so funny how they are coming back. But you know, we kind of went through that wave of the chunkier kind of like dad sneakers, which don't think they're going anywhere, but of course now we're transitioning a little bit more into your flatter, low profile sneaker. I'm not surprised, honestly, that these have come back because I also feel like the ballet flat, the Mary Jane, just again, flatter shoe has been really, really popular over the last year, 2 years. So the fact that they are coming out with a lot of styles in kind of a sneaker form makes perfect sense, right? So for folks who want to wear sneakers but still want, you know, not such a chunky look, they want a little bit more of that elegant, feminine type of look with their sneakers, I think it makes perfect sense that a lot of brands are coming out with this style as well. Next up on our fall fashion trends list, scarves. And this is a trend we have actually talked about on my channel before in one of these like fashion trend videos. I can't remember if it was for fall or winter. I'm almost positive it actually was probably fall as well. Scarves ain't going anywhere, baby. And again, not groundbreaking, right? But when we're talking about scarves, you know, going into this upcoming fall season, I am seeing a lot more of how folks are using scarves to accessorize and kind of like add extra details to their outfits. So you can think about scarves almost like some brands like to call them twillies on your bag, right? So wrapping them around the arm or the handles of your bag. We definitely saw a lot of people doing, I think they tried to chalk it up to Hailey Bieber, but baby, the girls in the city, you know, been doing this for a while, but wearing your hat and throwing a scarf over top that as well. Seeing scarves around your neck, but I've also been seeing people do a lot more similar to what we were talking about with like the belts and cinching your waist, doing the same thing with a scarf. I'm into it. I'm into it. I've actually never done it as far as I can remember really with like any of my scarves, but I love it. Again, with what I'm wearing today, oversized button up trousers, you know, I've got a little bit more of a looser feel, but if I wanted to take it from like day to night, or honestly, you could wear it at any point in the day, girl, take a nice little like satin silk scarf with like a really cool design or detail on it, wrap it around your waist. You know, you could roll it up completely to give it more of like a slimmer, more belt look. Of course too, you could leave it open where you could see like the actual print and detail of the actual scarf. So kind of like with like the point, you know, on the side. I like that. Like I'm really, really into it. And I've definitely been seeing a lot more people styling it that way, which I'm excited to see. I think one big thing that I've noticed a lot with a lot of the like fall fashion trends is like elevating things we already have, you know, trying to rewear our items, you know, twist and play with the things that we have already in our closet and adding a little bit more of that personal touch, a little bit more of that uniqueness and personal identity to the look, which I am here for. We're not really trying to reinvent the wheel, especially when you don't need to, right? Like a lot of us have a lot of these things already in our closets. We just gotta play with them a little bit and maybe like think of them in different ways and realize a lot of the items that we have don't have to have just one utility, if that makes sense. So long tangent, of course, with the scarves, but super, super excited and excited to see how folks continue to style it for this upcoming season. So our next fall fashion trend is going to be lace. And again, kind of similar to the scarves trend where I've talked about this before, but again, what I think a lot of brands are doing is remixing staple pieces, capsule wardrobe items, you know, kind of that like uniform in your wardrobe and then adding a little oomph to it. And lace is definitely a detail that I have seen a lot for the fall season. Zara already had a couple little items. Y'all know Zara, okay? One thing about that girl, she be on her Zoom, okay? Zara had a couple items already like kind of go viral, honestly, within this trend. They had a tank kind of like camisole version, and then they also had a dress. So both of them really had kind of this like silk satin type like finish to the actual like bodice of both the tank top and the dress, and then like a really cute just like spaghetti strap detail, and then they did a lace detail kind of around the chest area and then towards the bottom of the top and the dress. I did also see a pair of shorts. I believe the brand is Doen. I haven't really shopped them, but they also did a pair of similar material too, which is kind of funny that a lot of these like lace items that I've been seeing, like these lace pieces are like similar fabrics, but it was in kind of like this silk, almost again satin kind of finish, pair of shorts, and then they did a really cool kind of lace detail around the bottom of the shorts. And then what I think is even cool too with this kind of lace trend, you can layer it, right? So of course, as we're saying with that dress from Zara, as we're approaching the fall months, it's gonna get cold. I mean, granted, some of us live in some places where you'll be able to wear it for a while, but this would be really, really good to layer. I've seen folks already do t-shirts underneath. You could do a long sleeve turtleneck. You could even do a sweater on top, a cardigan, or like a regular chunky sweater, and then throw some pants underneath. There are a lot of different ways that you could play with this, but then you get that lace detail that kind of like pokes out, which I think is always really, really fun. This is something that I haven't pulled the trigger on the ones from Zara because honestly, I'm gonna wait until they go on sale and just try to like snag them up. But like, this is something that I would actually maybe do of like a juxtaposition kind of moment, right? So I'd go a little bit edgier. I'd probably do a leather trouser, or I'd do like a dark acid wash denim with like a boot, and then I'd do the lace detail and then like a moto jacket, right? So you kind of get that contradiction in the outfit. That's pretty spot on for my personal style, but again, I think a really cool way to incorporate this lace trend. So love this. I like this. I feel like we see lace a lot, you know, in the fall season, but I like the way, again, brands have been kind of playing with it for this upcoming season. The next trend is going to be striped / rugby styled shirts. And again, I think for me, my personal beef, you know what I'm saying? I think with this trend is just because I'm just like, ugh, the PTSD. I just think back to middle school, high school days. I worked at Abercrombie even too in college. Like that was just very much that era. For my closet and wardrobe, so far based off of what I've seen, it's a little bit more juvenile than what I like to dress like. And I even hate sometimes saying juvenile because it just makes it sound literally childish, kiddish. So it just gives very much youthful, which there's nothing wrong with that. There are definitely a lot of things I have in my closet that lean that way. I think at least for me, I just haven't really seen too many that I'm like keen on, that I'm like, okay, I think they did the stripe kind of rugby feel in a cool way that still feels elevated, chic, timeless, that's gonna like fill a gap. I did see one, of course, the infamous girl Zara, that I did see on Face Over Matter. My girl, love her. She was wearing, I think it was like a gray and yellow one from Zara. I liked that one. And I think I liked it because all of the stripes were kind of the same, you know, like width. I like the colors that they had there. The materials look fairly nice. So like that one, I was like, okay, I could get behind that. But a lot of the other ones that I've seen from brands, Miu Miu, I feel like she took the girlies by storm, right? And I feel like for a lot of folks right now, especially like the Gen Zers, anything Miu Miu says kind of goes for them. So Miu Miu dropped a bunch of them. And then of course, after that, I felt like so many other like high-end brands and then of course, high street brands followed suit as well. And what I notice a lot of time with those, they have like different thickness of their stripes, and I think it's that makes me feel sometimes that it looks a little bit more youthful than I would want for my closet. So I don't know. All right, and our last and final fall fashion trend is going to be Fringe. This is probably my favorite one on the list. Okay, this is one that I am really excited about. We've definitely talked about her before on one of our like fashion trend report videos. She's just good. She's good. I think Fringe is really fun. I think Fringe just allows for really fun movement. It's a good like conversation starter in your outfit. It adds dimension. And I think going into the fall seasons where we really start to play with layering, listen, this is why I always say the fall months is like the fashion community's Super Bowl. This is our Olympics. This is when we shine. I feel like all of us creative folks, this is really where we get the wheels turning and the juices flowing. So when I think of this Fringe trend, it gets me really excited. It gets me really excited because again, it makes me fall in love with my closet again, because I'm super excited to jump back in and see, okay, what pieces do I have? What could I layer with a really cool Fringe moment to create a new outfit? Couple things I know like I'm looking even for just for myself. I definitely want a jacket with a little bit of a fringe detail. I don't know if I want to go leather, moto style. I don't know if I want to go suede or anything quite yet, but would love a jacket. Would love a skirt. Would love a skirt. Now I don't know if I just want like a straight up just like fringe skirt, which might be kind of hard to find. I have seen some belts that you can kind of cinch around your waist that have that fringe detail, but I would love a skirt that I think would be really cool for a layering effect. I think a dress would be stunning. In that same Zara What's in My Cart video, I did mention that beautiful brown dress with the fringe at the bottom. Baby, it's sold out. It sold out so fast, I didn't even get a chance to buy it, but I do have my email notification there. But like a dress, just a couple different things that I'm thinking about that I think would be really, really fun with Fringe for this season. Well, all right, y'all, that is all I have for our video today. I tried to keep this one pretty like short and sweet. I always try to keep these videos like as short as possible. Still helpful, still like informative, but I like to keep them on the shorter end because again, I think these make for, or at least my hope is that they make for really great reference videos. So again, if you are in like a rut or you're just like trying to refresh your wardrobe going into, you know, the fall season, I always hope that these videos are helpful in doing so. Comment down below, again, let me know what trends we're shopping, what trends are we excited about, what trends could we do without, like me? Are there anything or like trends that you feel like I missed, like I should have mentioned them? And of course, there were a lot, honestly, there are a lot. Through all the research that I do, all the magazines and publications and things that I read, there were a lot, but these were the 8 that stuck out to me, the ones that I think are going to be pretty prominent. So those are the ones that I landed on. But yes, if there are any other ones that I missed out on, comment them down below. Let's continue the conversation. And as always, I love you guys so, so much. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. And until next time, I'll see you in my next video. Bye, y'all.